Hi, I'm Chandra Proffitt.
And I'm Jeremiah Proffitt.
Welcome to our 47th episode of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV. In this episode, we're going to see what's cranking along in the shop.
And we're going to feature this 1978 FJ40 body off restoration right behind us that we restored for the original owner.
What you doing?
Something you're never, ever, ever supposed to do.
Put holes in paint or vortex?
No. I'm tapping, I'm chasing threads actually with a drill because this Line-X in paint gets in all the threads and it makes it so if you put a bolt in, the bolt of gall or it'll seize up or break off. So this makes it much easier for assembly. But as so many viewers are so quick to point out, you're never supposed to tap with a drill. At least that's what they say.
Oh.
But I'm a rule breaker.
How are you supposed to tap?
With a tap socket and a ratchet or maybe with a little crescent wrench. How you're supposed to tap takes 10 times longer than this, 20 times longer than this. So I just break the rules. I just use, look at that. Oh my goodness. Over and over. So, yes, I know that you're not supposed to tap with a drill, but I've been tapping with a drill in Baghdad, and yes, I break a few here and there, but for the most part, I've saved way more time than I've wasted, and so get used to it. Get used to seeing me with a tap in a drill.
I use my impact gun with a tap socket, and
He's even worse. He's even worse.
Years, I think I've broken 3.
Yeah. Get over it. Get over it, people. So. This is the EMP40, and the EMP40 is a personal project, shop project, and this kind of stuff normally happens after hours, but because of Turismo Lab coming up, this year you moved it up 2 weeks on me, fellas. It's causing us to have to rush this out, but it's okay, we're excited to get back out there, and we're excited to show you this project, but it's kind of top secret, so we're not going to give you any full shots of it right now. We'll feature it in the next episode.
It's like a hammer.
Yeah.
Can we pull mine in next?
And even Roy is working on the EMP40. Luckily, everybody who works on it gets a free uniform. Roy, what are you doing? Well, I quickly and easily install these bolts in my perfectly clean holes that I did with this drill.
That sounds wrong.
Why don't you tell the guys what you're doing?
Well, I was doing the other thing she was cringing about. I was drilling holes in fresh painted stuff, getting some wires run for all of our snazzy devices, lights and switches, power ports. Just finished up on the dash, trying to get center console and the radios wired up, and I'm kind of working from the center out on this one. Started with the stock harness and have just made modifications heading outward on this.
So this 68 FJ40 is a project we're going to feature pretty soon. Of course, it's a body off restoration, and you can see that Roy has been adding the firewall items on. He's still going to build the rest of the brake lines before we set it on the chassis. It's a lot easier to get to all this stuff right now, right in front of you, than when there's an engine in the way. And so we'll show you that in just a second. As soon as Roy's done helping me on the EMP40, right back to this he goes. And this is going to be a fun one to feature a little bit later in another episode. I was joking about this just a second ago in this episode, but I'm going to actually turn this into a learning experience. So yes, you're not supposed to tap holes with a drill. I think there's probably a lot of people out there that do it, but really people have commented on both social medias and on our YouTube channel, like tapping with a drill. So you can do it, right? If you're good with a drill, if you're good at driving like deck screws with a drill, if you could drive 3-inch deck screws one after another with a drill without cocking them over and bending things and messing up, then you can tap with a drill. So I'm gonna chase these 2 holes out. First, I'm just gonna sort of center them, right? They're stuck in place because of the Line-X, so I'm just gonna get them in the middle so I know that the tap doesn't have to chew through the side of the door pillar. And then I'm gonna grab my 8mm 125 tap. This is a really nice tap. 2 fluted. I think this is from, this isn't a hardware store tap. It's from like Kent Automotive or somewhere like that. I'm not going to use any lube or oil on it because I don't want to cark up my body, and also I'm just cleaning out Vortex in paint or Line-X in paint, right? So the key, the secret, is you got to be straight, exactly straight. If I'm like that, or like that, or like that, it's not going to work out. It's going to caulk. This is going to caulk inside the captured nut, and it's going to break this. So this is the secret, being straight. And then you just run it in, and then run it back out. You can tell, look how carky and full of stuff that hole is. It's not ready for a bolt. I could not get a bolt in there, but I will be able to after I do that. Ready to go, nice and easy. Now I'll do that through 1/4-inch plate too, through a hole with and make the threads from scratch. But basically it's the same principle. It's just about being straight. Most people, when they break their tap off, they do it when they're coming out. They'll go in straight and they'll try to come out at an angle. Straight in, straight out, butter. So here's the rolling chassis for that gray 68 FJ40. Cummins R2.8, 5-speed. It's got an hour shackle reversal. It's got a Saginaw power steering. Wheelbase extension, 3.5 inches. Kind of the rig of the day. I think we've done 6 or 8 restorations almost just like this. It's because they're so badass. Like I said, favorite rig to drive. Didn't we just film you sanding an engine compartment?
Yeah, well, I'm just painting it now.
And you like it so much,
Then I'm doing another one.
you're right back to it. So at least it's not the same color.
Yeah.
We don't make people sand the same color over and over again. It's completely different. Yeah. So it's a lot of work. Well, I remember talking about this. It's like deja vu. Well, here we are again. Corey.
A couple weeks later.
Yeah, a couple weeks later. C2PO. We have 2 Corys, so we have C1PO and C2PO. Can't wait for the C3PO. C2PO sanding away. Another sweet FJ60 Stage 2 restoration with, are we changing the color on this? No. Sweet, I love this color.
Yeah.
And Cummins R2.8 going in here. Pretty cool. Are you tired of sanding engine compartments?
Oh, it's kind of fun.
Did you hear that? Corey's awesome. He enjoys this. I enjoy looking at him when he's done. Let's go look at the last one he did. This is what he was talking about. This is the engine compartment that he was sanding on an episode or 2 ago. Now it's all beautifully painted and ready for the 2F that's going back in this. Corey's awesome. Looks like a meat locker in here.
It's my office.
Welcome to Eric's office.
The meat locker.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I am wiping down parts for paint, cleaning, wax and grease remover, getting all the mechanics grease off of it, all their fingerprints off my nice black parts.
That's kind of an area of tension in most shops that do both things.
Yep.
And getting ready to,
Paint black,
yeah,
pretty much.
look at all this stuff, right? So I think that in the rest of the world, a lot of these little parts get painted with spray paint. In fact, I think spray paint's probably the most common way to paint a lot of this little stuff. But we don't use spray paint except for in like dire straight circumstances in cases of, I bet you we don't go through 6 cans of spray paint a year. Maybe 2 cans of spray paint a year. How come?
We use real paint here.
So there's literally thousands of little parts on every car. And lots of them are parts that are exposed to the elements, undercarriage parts, suspension parts, engine compartment parts, and every single one of them needs to be painted, and they need to be painted individually. And if you do that correctly, then these restorations that we do last for years and decades, because the quality of a real automotive paint is so much better than the quality of a spray paint, mainly because it's catalyzed. And I'll let paint guys get into all of the details behind that. However, these steering parts, steering box, drive shafts, wiper arms, there's an injection pump. I see a harmonic balancer, some brake rotors, pulleys, more steering parts. All of this stuff is important to stay looking good for a long time, and so we will hang them in the booth and individually paint hundreds of parts for every car with a real automotive catalyzed paint, sometimes black. In this case, these are all going to be black, sometimes other colors. Got to stay away from the spray paint if you want it to last a long time. All right, Eric, well, we'll be back and see these when they're shiny.
All righty, perfect. Semi-shiny.
Semi-shiny, because these are going satin black.
Yeah.
There's diesel dripping off of that.
Awesome.
So this is Steven, and Steven just started with us a couple of weeks ago, but he's also a tour guide in Alaska. He drives tour buses, and he thought that he wasn't going to be able to go this summer because of all the polar bears have been eating people left and right, and that's how COVID spread in Alaska. So if you get eaten by a polar bear, you die of COVID.
That's what you die of.
Yeah.
Everybody dies of COVID.
But
right?
unfortunately, he found out that they are in fact going to still have tours in Alaska, and so he will only with us for a few more weeks. But while he's here, he's adding some crazy value to this FJ60 right now. What are we working on?
Oh, this was an absolute wiring disaster. There've been too many guys had been in here too many times and had made it very difficult. It was very ugly. It's still ugly, but it's very, very time consuming because we've got to go back and figure out what we need and what's not working and eliminate what's not working and put back in what we need to have so that everything works. And we're adding a few things to it too. We'll build a new bracket over here to hold the relays and things like that, and possibly an ARB pump. So
Some dual batteries and
yeah,
making this Land Cruiser better.
making it look like Jeremiah makes everything. Really,
Well,
really nice.
that Ford engine in there, I'm not
Well,
sure.
you didn't do that. You didn't do that, brother.
It's a Ford engine with a Chevy distributor.
Yeah, and some Toyota stuff behind it. So it's kind
It's
of
been, you could tell it's been the brainchild of many a mixed up individual. But it's a good cruiser. It's a solid cruiser. It's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, they tell us the motor's awesome.
Yeah.
Lots of power.
Yeah, it's got power.
So
Well, thank you,
good stuff.
Steven.
Thank you.
All right, shooting some video myself today because Todd's not here, but I want to tear into this. So this guy is my 1961 FJ28 that I bought from an importer who found it in Paraguay, and it has all the signs of a South American restoration. From far away, it doesn't look too bad, but this thing is a disaster and a half, and we're gonna tear into it. So I wanna document a little bit of this before we sandblast it and it comes back a pile of red dust. Let's check it out. So of course, this being a 20 series, it's got the wrong front clip, right? Somebody probably took that for a different project, unfortunately, and I don't know what's up with this hood. It's missing the opening in the front, and it looks kind of like a one-piece hood. If you'll look, there's this sort of body line that they added. But this is a two-piece hood, and I'll show you when we open it up. It's a mess. I think that's probably a piece of flat stock. I don't know, but I guarantee you that there's more Bondo in this hood than metal. Let's look at the underside. See there, two-piece hood. And they welded something to it up there to make it look like a one-piece hood. And this hood's been worked over in lots of ways anyway. If you can see all the crazy modifications that have been done. And then you've got this standard rebar hood prop. Excellent use of rebar right there. Just kidding. I like all the improvs on these rigs that you get. They're almost all have some sort of belt somewhere. Used as a piece of rubber for weather stripping. So that's a serpentine belt of some kind used as a hood bumper. The other thing you're going to notice in here is that is not any kind of a gas FJ engine at all. It's a 3B. But my guess is what they did is they picked a BJ40 up somewhere and they sort of combined it and this 28 to make this vehicle. Because if you look closely, got a little evidence of a later model FJ40 right there with the wiper motor, and then it does have the disc brake axle, and then there's the FJ60 standard FJ60 Frenched in taillight, non-value added weirdness going on. There's just enough of that all over this whole project to where it makes me want to tear it down and get it out of its misery immediately. There's an FJ40 gas door Frenched in there. And I'm sure that this thing is not supposed to have fender flares. I'm guessing that these are probably made out of newspaper and Bondo. We're gonna find out. Anyway, this is gonna be very, very different when we're done. This FJ28, we're gonna bring it back. We're not gonna make it stock, but we are gonna make it cool. I almost forgot, we gotta check out the interior. Oh yeah, baby. Little tuck and roll. Little love from the upholstery shop. They actually did a pretty good job. Speaker mount. Relatively cool, right? I mean, we're not gonna keep it, but rear seat did a pretty good job there. I like the headliner. You saw my stop it on seat mounts in a couple episodes ago. This is the one here. Those are pretty bad seat mounts. I'm gonna be one of the first things to throw away. What else can we see? Stereo mount's pretty hideous. It looks like they cut the center out of another Land Cruiser dash and just welded it to this. That's a bummer, but doesn't matter too much. Does not matter too much. This is gonna be hard to find parts for. Check this out though, super cool. I wanna get that translated. That'll definitely stay as part of the build. All right, so let's see what happens if we jump this, see if we can get it running before we tear it all down. Oh yeah, one more thing, man, this could tell so many stories. Check this out. It's a duct tape radiator cap. Rumor has it that the owner, the guy that I bought this from, drove it all the way from Paraguay to Cartagena, Colombia like that. Think that really worked? I don't know. All right, let's see if it starts. All right, I got the big boy jump box on there. We actually do know this runs because we started it right when we got it here, but it's been almost a year and a half, so I wonder, should we just try it? Just go for it, right on camera? Make sure it's in neutral. Sorry about the bad filming. See if it cranks. Whoa. Oh, I guess I better glow plug it, huh? Where do we do that? Suppose they hooked up the timer? Doubtful. Here's a button. Is that it? I don't hear it click. Well, let's go for it. How can we glow plug this? We need to get it going. Turn the key backwards? Probably not. Maybe. Whoa, whoa. This is... Oh, you gotta love a Toyota. Gotta love a Toyota. No matter what. Woohoo! Should we keep the 3B? Huh? I don't think so. She lives. The 28/42 South American jalopy lives, and we're gonna turn it into something cool. Stay tuned. Maybe it's dead. All right, we're gonna push it.
Because this Land Cruiser spent most of its life in Alabama, it was pretty rusty and definitely in need of a complete restoration. Like all of our Stage 3 restorations, this vehicle has been completely disassembled and all of the parts restored separately. Originally, this Land Cruiser was freeborn red. However, the customer wanted to change it up a bit, and now it's another classic Land Cruiser color, 033 white. Like you've seen in lots of our builds, we did our standard wheelbase extension, restoring the factory wheel wells 3.5 inches back. The newer 2F has provisions for a Toyota power steering pump, which matches perfectly with the FJ60 power steering box we mounted to the frame. Also in this engine compartment, you'll notice an aftermarket vintage air AC compressor. Lastly in this engine compartment, you'll notice that larger 80 series master cylinder for the rear disc brakes. Seems like a can of worms, but the rear disc brakes are made necessary by the installation of a 5-speed transmission. For the suspension, we installed our PRLC shockle reversal, Old Man Emu 2.5-inch springs, and Bilstein shocks. We also cosmetically restored and rebuilt the entire drivetrain. The 5-speed is a great addition to this Land Cruiser, but it doesn't have provisions for an e-brake. Because of this, we installed rear disc brakes with the e-brake built in. This customer chose a handful of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruiser's exclusive accessories, including our dual swing-out rear bumper, our custom off-road front winch bar, and a custom double halo roof rack. The Dakota digital gauges and the retro stereo modernize the dash while retaining the classic Land Cruiser look. You'll also notice the vintage AC and custom ashtray switch panel. Of course, we kept the FJ40 seats front and rear and wrapped them in leather. The floor of this FJ40 is also sprayed with Line-X commercial spray liner. Thanks again for watching this episode of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV.
That's right, and if you like us, please subscribe on the YouTube channel. Also, you can see a lot of content at Pro Cruiser on Instagram, and we are Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers on Facebook. Also, the website is resurrectionlandcruisers.com. Thanks for watching.
You're gonna ask him about his small head?
Chad, I was not going to ask you about that.
You said I had a small head.
They told me that you were size small.
Thanks again for watching this episode of Proffitt's Resurrection Land Cruisers TV.